that venom and that negativity and that anxiety and stress that you stuff into your body, that is called dis-ease. That creates dis-ease in the body. And that negative energy, if you don't release it and you don't forgive it, which is really important, will find its way into your organs. I've seen people get so sick that they died, or depression and anxiety, because the opposite of depression is expression. And so if you don't express yourself and express what's going on for you, and you're repressing it, then that's going to create absolute chaos within yourself.
Welcome to another episode of Negotiate Your Best Life. I am so excited because, first of all, you may notice that I have a friend with me here today. And this guy has literally transformed my life, along with hundreds of thousands of other people in person, and also millions around the world. Chris Lee is a motivational speaker, a transformational workshop leader. He has coached literally some of the top names, top brands in the world. And we have him in the house, literally.
Hi.
My house. Hello.
Hello.
So glad that you are here. So Chris is going to be talking to us today about how to create boundaries in our lives, especially when we're dealing with people that maybe it's hard to create boundaries. Maybe you don't feel so comfortable in creating the boundaries that you want to create, that you need to create. And also managing the stress around all of that so that you can create the most bulletproof life of your life. And really, it's really about freedom. It's really about freedom, which is something you taught me.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Well, I'm excited, and hello to this beautiful audience. And it's a blessing to be here. And every time we have the opportunity to level up, it's a beautiful moment. And so be present, take notes.
Yes, you are going to want to listen to this episode over and over and over again. I know I'm going to listen to it over and over again. I feel so blessed because this is really an opportunity for all of you to sit down, take notes, and really transform your life. This is about personal development, personal growth, becoming the best version of yourself, really becoming the version of yourself that you are meant to be, the one that you're meant to be. So let's talk first about why is it so hard to transform?
It's a great question. It's a loaded question. There's a lot to say there. And so to unpack it a little bit, let's talk about what transformation means, because a lot of people don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But transform means, first of all, you're not a chair. You're not a plant.
Right.
You don't have to stay in the same relationship or the same job or the same attitude that you have been for a long time. And so transformation means to evolve, to release what doesn't work and reclaim what does. It's to, the light that we're born with is an unstoppable light. And over time, that light gets put into a box, limiting beliefs, fears, etc. And then we create this image and this attachment to how we are. And then we bring that into our daily lives and we become pretty rigid about it. So we get attached to it, and there's a lot of benefits to that. They're called rackets. We'll talk more about that as we go along. But the reason why it's so difficult to transform and to evolve into, I say, who you already are, the authentic, unstoppable, free self that you're born as. If you don't believe me, look at children.
Yeah.
They're free.
Yes.
And so it's called comfort zone, habits, and also constant reinforcement from our environment. Believe it or not, the people that surround us, it's to their convenience for us to stay the way we are. So you've got your own comfort zone, your own fears, but you also have the reinforcement of the people that surround you. Unless you are in a growth mindset and surrounded by people that are committed to growth mindset, it's very challenging, but of course it can be done.
Yes, I think one of the most beautiful analogies that I saw you do, and I've seen this, and by the way, he leads these amazing workshops that are just, you have to go, but is that you were talking about the neural pathways in your brain, and you were saying, hey, listen, you were in, there was an audience of us, and then there was an aisle.
Yeah. You have good memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you want to talk about that?
Yeah, of course. Well, it's what you repeat becomes your habit, and your habit becomes your destiny. And so if you spend, think about what you're really good at or what you're a genius at and what you get paid to do. For example, you, in terms of a lawyer and negotiator and the queen of, learning how to deal with narcissists and transform that, you have spent probably over 10,000 hours of your time, which, by the way, it says 10,000 hours makes you an expert.
Right.
So you spent over 10,000 hours of programming and discipline and learning and repetition and developing something specific. And so for you, that's a pathway that you've established in your brain that is an easy pathway to go through because you've spent so much time. When you look at Olympic athletes that are doing triple axles on balance beams, you're like, how did they do that? But that's in their lane as well. They have trained and trained and trained and trained to be able to do that. You and I could not do that. I can't even get even like, I'll touch a balance beam and I'll fall off.
Oh, yeah.
But they they just do a somersault, jump on, land on the balance beam.
Triple axle, whatever.
Axle. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But the same way we have become disciplined in the things that we're learning and our jobs, we also have years and years and years of practice at our fears and our phobias and our limiting beliefs and what I call rackets, which is the outcome of fear. A racket is a behavior that is a defensive behavior that we use to protect ourselves that is sponsored by fear. And so the racket is like, for example, when you say I'm shy or I'm too stupid or any limiting belief you have about yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm a woman, I'm a man. There's so many. But when we start repeating those fears over and over, that becomes a discipline, like becoming a lawyer, a doctor, an acrobat. In other words, you have spent so many years, I have spent so many years in thinking I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, that has created this pathway in my brain that almost whenever I am triggered, that's the default.
Yes, it's so good. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I actually did a live this morning for my audience, and it was on how not to be emotionally reactive to narcissists. And so many people were commenting that they have a really hard time with that. And it's because it's how it lands for you, not what's going on with them.
Nothing has to do with the other person. Every single moment you are triggered, whether they're a narcissist or even kindness could trigger you. Any trigger, any moment you find yourself reacting or judging or you feel unsafe or you feel like you need to fight someone or run from someone or freeze, what's happening is the issue is not them. The issue is the trigger in you that gets activated. And so when you talk, I like the word bulletproof. You talked about bulletproof, that this is, I want to bring you tools for a bulletproof life. Like that's my intention here.
Yes.
And the thing is that when we are triggered and we are in reaction and we think that the issue is your husband or your boss or the person on the highway or whoever it is that talked to you in a way that you didn't like, they are not the issue. The minute you make them the issue, you become a victim of them. And of course, predators prey on that. Yes. Narcissists prey on that. people that want to take advantage of you they prey on that. They mine that. They go after that. But learning, and this is what we're going to do here, learning how to take accountability for your triggers, then you stop giving your power away, which is so amazing.
So good.
Everything.
Because here's the thing, and I want to get this is almost like kind of fast forwarding because there's so many steps in between here.
Yes.
But I actually was just coaching somebody this week who happens to be one of my billionaire clients who have been coaching her for years. And she started to figure out, wait a minute, I've been coaching her. I can stop now. I can no longer give in. I'm not going to give in anymore. And she was giving in because she felt guilt around the fact that she has money, guilt around the fact that, people might judge her, or it's like all this stuff. And he was preying on this. And so she finally is like, you know what, I'm not giving in anymore. And one of the things that I have been talking about with my coach community, and I want to bring up here, and I want you to speak to this too, is just making that shift where she's decided that she's no longer available for that kind of manipulation. It's like it shuts down a gateway for a narcissistic prey. They look for these vulnerabilities, these openings. And just that alone, by the way, gives you more leverage in a negotiation. Because when you are the one who cares less about the outcome or isn't as is nervous, oh, please take it, please take it, please take it, then you now automatically have more power, you automatically have more leverage. And you can influence the energy in the room because of that. So I don't know if I'm skipping ahead too much.
No, what you're saying is so powerful, because when you're not in reaction, you're in a position of power. As long as I'm in reaction, someone owns me. And so by saying I am no longer available for this game or this dynamic, what you do is you shut the game down. You shut down the dynamic, and whoever it is, it could be a narcissist or whoever, know that there's no longer what they're searching for. It's not available because you're not available. And so learning how to lead your mind, because it comes down to one word: interpretation.
Making that transition between summer and fall is always a crazy thing. And that's why I love having a leather jacket, like my gorgeous one from Quince. And they have timeless and high quality items, which I love. And they don't blow my budget, which I also love. They have cashmere sweaters and washable silk tops. And everything is like 50 to 80% less than other brands, which I also love. They cut out the middleman. They pass the savings on to us, which is also amazing. It's safe and ethical, which I also love. I really love my brown leather jacket from them. It's super stylish and it's high quality. Just love that. So make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/negotiate for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/negotiate to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/negotiate.
That's what it comes down to. So the reason why I react isn't because of what people say. It's what I'm interpreting. It's how I'm hearing it. It's not because I lost my job. It's because of what I'm making up about it. It's not because I got dumped. It's what I'm interpreting about that. It's not about the event outside of me. It's about my perception. And the one thing we always have control over is how we perceive. And how you perceive, you can perceive from a limited mindset, which is your comfort zone. And it's the habits that you've spent so many years practicing, which is fear-based. And we usually interpret in a negative way. We usually interpret it in a disempowering way. We take things personal, we overreact, etc. Or you can make a choice and interpret things in an empowering way. Notice I didn't say positive, empowering, like finding out what's the empowerment here, what's the gift here, how's this benefiting me?
Now, here's what I'm going to say to you, and I know how to respond from my angle, but I want you to respond to this. When people start to put down boundaries and they say, you know what, I'm no longer available for this game, then the other person doesn't like it. They might react badly. They might start to have a little bit of a tantrum or whatever they're going to do. And people are afraid of that. What would you say to that?
Well, first of all, you can't put down a boundary unless you mean it. So it can't be oh my God, I'm afraid of how they're going to take it if I put down this boundary. No, you've got to be all in on it. Like, you've got to understand it comes down to self-worth. If you value yourself or want to, if you love yourself or want to, you've got to put down boundaries that will serve you and ultimately serve them. To me, a boundary is a bridge, not a wall. If I know what's going to empower you, why, and I love you and I want the best for you, why would I not want that for you? So usually the people that get upset by your boundaries are people that are no longer, it's no longer available to them to manipulate you. And so if someone's upset because you put a boundary down and they take it personal, then that's not someone that you necessarily want in your life. And I know it's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you've been with someone for so many years. But sometimes we are sleeping, and you know this, with the enemy. Sometimes we got the wrong people on our teams, as employees, as friends, family members. I've fired so many people from my life. Like, I've divorced people that, and people are like, but they've been your friend for 30 years. I know, but this person was toxic. Mm-hmm. And so a boundary is self-worth, self-respect. Now, also, it's not about, the boundary that you put down. It's how you put it down. So it's not like it's in your face, like, here's my boundary, take it or leave it. But it's really from a self-worth place and a win-win place. It's not about you winning and them losing. It's about creating a win-win environment and expressing, here's what I need, here's what's not negotiable for me, or here's what's important to me, here are my boundaries. And then finding out from the other person, what are your boundaries? Mm-hmm. What do you need? Mm-hmm. And then if there's a conflict one or the other, if they are open to negotiating, going, okay, well, I may not be able to deliver this, but I could come close. Does that work for you? Then you can negotiate. And that happens a lot. But someone who's not willing to negotiate and someone who's in reaction of your boundaries, that's a relationship that's not going to work.
No. And if you are in the process of negotiating, maybe they're already on the other side. Maybe they're already somebody that you've decided you don't want in your life, but you just have decided, you know what, I'm putting up these boundaries. Maybe they're in the process of a divorce, or maybe they're in the process of getting out of the business partnership, or
well, it's also good
whatever.
To know where you stand.
Right. But if they're going to be in reaction, that's their issue.
That is their issue. That is their problem. You see you see their true colors. Because if someone was benefiting from your lack of boundaries and they were enjoying the fruits of the benefit of you not having boundaries, and you're finally standing for yourself and respecting yourself, and they don't like it, the gig is up. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that happens. And, I have a saying, burn the house down if you need to, and I don't mean it in a negative way.
He believes.
I mean it in the sense of.
He does mean it.
Yeah. Don't attach yourself to, here's who's not replaceable. You, your joy, your self-worth, your love, your well-being. That's got to be at the centerpiece. And to me, that's the biggest thing I could ever support people in. Put your mask on first. Take care of you. But take care of you doesn't mean burn everybody around you. Take care of you is, here's what I'm committed to. Here's what I need to thrive. Mm-hmm. Can you support me? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is no, then you got to find other people that will. And here's what I find, by the way, 90% of people will actually be excited for you.
Yeah, well, the people who are your real supporters.
Well, that's what I mean.
Your real supporters.
You've got a lot of people in your life that love you. So,
I do, yes.
So I say 90% of people that you put down boundaries are actually grateful. The 10% are the people that you need to get rid of, or they need to either rise up or leave. And that's got to be okay. What you can't do is put a boundary down, and then when the person crosses it, say, I didn't mean it.
Yeah. So I have a saying, stop trying to make not your people your people.
Yes.
So, I think sometimes, though, people are very worried about, if I put up this boundary, then people aren't going to like me, or the people that they're associated with aren't going to like me, or maybe they're going to leave, or maybe this is going to happen, or maybe that's going to happen. What would you say to that person?
Well, like Mel Robbins says, let them. If they're going to leave, let them. If they're going to judge you, let them. If they don't want to hang out with you, let them. If they want to talk bad about you, let them. Why? Because you're going to see what they're made of, and you're going to see who they are. You can't control other people. You got to let people do what they do. And I believe that as you put down strong boundaries based on your values, based on your vision, based on your principles, whoever wants to participate in that is going to show up. And whoever doesn't, won't. If people are in it for the money and they didn't care about what it took, or they're in it for the fame, or they're in it because of the sex, or they're in it for whatever that benefit is, and they didn't care about you, they were using you. People that use people don't like boundaries. And that's a big pill to swallow. And I know that somebody going, oh my God, I think my husband's using me, and I think my children are, maybe. And it's not about love. You can love someone and say, I love you and I need my space. I love you and I'm not going to give you so much access to me. And I've seen moms do that with their kids, and I've seen that husbands and wives and family members. But here's what I do find, that the initial price might be that there's separation, but true love and someone who truly loves somebody will fight for you and will do whatever it takes. For example, I had a brother, and he knows who he is if he's watching this, that I put down a boundary with. He didn't like the boundary. He got angry. He started talking bad about me. I'm like, let him. And I laid down that law, and within 3 months, he's calling me up saying, I love you, I'm sorry, and I respect you, and I want you in my life. And I'm like, I love you too. It's not a lack of love. But you know, here are the things that don't work for me because, you know, it doesn't line up with my vision. And is there anything that you need? Because it's not one-sided. It's like I love asking people what their boundaries are. And maybe this is a conversation to have before you hire somebody, before you go into a relationship with somebody, before you're able, you know, you have a friendship with somebody. What is it that you need? How can I support you? Here's what I need.
Totally. Now, let's talk about resistance, because I see so many people, like, they know they need to change. They know they need to get out of this relationship, or maybe they know they need to change this habit or whatever it is, but they just can't do it.
There's a reason for that, and it's called, and that's a racket. That you've just defined a racket. Somebody who's in a situation many times, not always, that they know is detrimental. They know it's not good for me. They know I need to change. They know that where they are isn't where they want to be, but they resist change. Here's why. There's a false reward that they're getting. Every racket has a false reward. So someone who plays the victim card, the false rewards, people have sympathy for them. The person who's in a relationship that sucks and they don't want it to end, the false reward is that they feel that that they're not lonely. At least I will have someone next to me. Or the sex is good. Or he has a lot of money. You know, there's always a reason that has us resist change. And it's called a false reward. For example, people that are control freaks, I'm sure you know people like that. You know, the reason why they have a hard time changing being that way is because the false reward is they come across as leaders, they get things done, they make things happen. However, there's also a massive price tag where they're exhausted all the time and people don't like them. They don't want to be with them. They're not inspiring. They're people that are usually alone. You know, and so every racket has a false reward, and that I understand is it's kind of like, you know, the drug is giving me the high. The false reward of the drug is I feel high for a minute, but the price tag is I'm killing myself and I'm killing my family and I'm toxic and detrimental. But meanwhile, some people have a hard time breaking the addiction for that little sliver of false reward. And that's the same thing with why people resist so much. We all know people. I know, and I work with you, so I coach you, and I know what you're talking about. There are people in our lives that you can offer them all the support, give them all the resources, love, money, energy, and nothing moves them.
Oh, yeah. They're like a stone. There's like nothing that's going to go in.
Which at the end of the day, it tells you that unless people want to, there's nothing you can do.
No.
So don't waste your time.
Correct. Yes, for sure.
You could go once or twice, but you're not going to do it for years.
And we all have these
Yes.
rackets, and we all have these limiting
Well, the
beliefs.
difference is that there are people that have rackets and are willing to work on them, and there's people who have them and don't care and think it's everybody else's problem.
Yes. We should just keep those people over here. I always say send them light, but over there.
Send them lots of light. Don't be mad at them, because you get mad at them, they have your energy.
Yes.
And the other thing is, don't waste energy wanting to change them. They're not going to change. Only they could decide that if they want a transformation.
Have you ever met somebody, they started off to be the most charming, charismatic person you've ever met in your life. Then they turned out to be your worst nightmare. And then when you go to negotiate with them, they're a living hell. Well, I developed something called the SLAY method of negotiating with narcissists, and it has helped tens of thousands of people in more than 150 countries win, go from feeling drained and defeated to getting the outcomes they want. And the reason why it works is because I spent more than 20 years studying narcissism as a trial attorney, and now I'm here to help you win too, and also take your suffering and turn it into your superpower. Take your pain and turn it into profit, peace, and purpose as a highly specialized high conflict negotiation coach. If you want to learn how to do it, then just go to RebeccaZung.com/apply, and I will show you how. Yes. And talk about that for a second, because you just touched on that, where you're hanging on to this anger and this resentment and this venom toward a person who you think it's not fair, they got away with it. Somehow I think we think if we're holding on to it, that we're not letting them get away with it.
No, what you're doing is you're killing yourself. That venom and that negativity and that anxiety and stress that you stuff into your body, that is called dis-ease. That creates dis-ease in the body. And that negative energy, if you don't release it and you don't forgive it, which is really important, will find its way into your organs. I've seen people get so sick that they died, or depression and anxiety, because the opposite of depression is expression. And so if you don't express yourself and express what's going on for you, and you're repressing it, then that's going to create absolute chaos within yourself.
So how do you stop resisting it?
Well, you got to embrace it. You got to confront it. And it comes down to one word: forgiveness. You don't forgive, you're not free. And so think about right now, who do you get to forgive? And what do you get to forgive about them? And a lot of people get stuck in forgiveness because they think they don't deserve it, and they hang on like it's like a badge of honor to be pissed at this person. And then they create clubs where they gather with all their friends and talk about how horrible this person is, and it just makes it like, like cement. It just really solidifies the negativity. Because you get people that agree with you. That's right, that person betrayed you. What a horrible person. How could they do that to you? Poor you. Right? And so what happens is that guarantees a breakdown that you're living in. Now, acknowledging it, feeling it, choosing another interpretation around it, and deciding, you know what, I'm not going to give, I'm making a decision not to give that person the energy. They don't deserve it. I need that energy back so I could create my life. And so forgiveness is about freedom. It's freeing up the energy that someone else has. So if I'm mad at you and I'm like, that's a lot of wasted energy. And some of us are mad at people from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Some of you are mad at people that died. Some of you are mad at people that don't even know you exist. And so you're giving people energy, thinking that that's your way of paying them back. but you're ending up hurting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's a saying that I've heard somewhere. It's like swallowing poison and expecting someone else to die from it.
Yeah. So what about people who are resisting change or doing things, and maybe they feel like they don't have enough money or whatever it is, but they're stuck in that, and maybe it's fear or whatever it is. What would you say to them?
Well, you're not alone. You're not an alien. It's normal. I was one of those people that I was absolutely resistant to any change or any kind of growth. I was the way I was going to die that way. That's how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And so what supported me, and I believe what's going to support a lot of us, is asking for support. Saying, you know what, I know I want something different. I know I want a transformation in my life. I know that the way things are going is not bringing me joy. And I say that we're all surrounded by angels. There's people in our lives that are just incredible people that love us and that care for us and that will do whatever. And I don't need to do this alone. I could ask for support. And asking for support doesn't make you weak. Get a coach, a mentor, a therapist, a guide, whoever it is that you respect. Even there's family members that are amazing. And because of the people in my life and because of the mentors and the coaches and me asking for support, I've been able to break free and break through.
Yes. And fear is such a huge factor for people. They're afraid to be alone. They're afraid to a failure. They're afraid of being judged. They're afraid. I mean, there's so many different fears. What would you say about that?
Well, fear is just a perception. That's all it is. False evidence appearing real. That's fear. Think about it. 90% of the things that you think are going to happen don't happen. Like how many, my aunt, Nancy Schlossberg, if you're watching, I love you. She's 93 years old.
Oh God.
She is
God bless
still
her.
working with
gosh.
people. She is an author. She was a professor in psychology.
Amazing.
She's written lots of books. And she says that we suffer more, and I agree with her, from non-events than real events. That's a whole episode.
Yes.
Non-events are the events that you fabricate in your brain that never happen. And so that's what fear does. And what's important, if you really want to do deep dive work, is to uncover, write them down, your fears, and ask yourself, is this true? Is this a fact? Does this serve me? What's another way of seeing it? And you start dissolving those fears, because the reality is fears learned. We're only born with 2 fears. That's it. And right now we have gazillion, but we're born with 2. And that is loud noises and falling down. Every other fear is learned along the way. But the great news is the way you learn fears, you can identify and maybe not get rid of the fear, because as long as you're breathing, there'll be some sort of fear, but not let fear control you. But part of the path is to identify, what are my fears? As you write them down and you name them, you actually gain power over them. And so, once again, is it true? Is this a fact? And the other thing is identifying, where did I make that up? Where did that come from? So I have a fear of being rejected, for example. Is it true that everyone's going to reject me? No. Is it a fact? No. Where does it come from? Well, when I think back at the first experience of rejection, it happened when I was 6 years old. My hero, my father, left. I never saw him again. So that to me was a massive blow. And I went from being the happiest little boy to this old man at 6. I stopped laughing. I stopped playing. I just shut down. So that's the birth of that fear.
Yeah.
The fear of being rejected. Now, what caused that fear to be birthed isn't the fact that he left. We'll go back to the word interpretation. It was my interpretation that caused the fear. Him leaving was neutral. All events are neutral. We're the ones who add the drama. So my dad left neutral. But in that moment, my interpretation, I interpreted it was my fault. I interpreted I'm not worthy. I interpreted I can't trust people. I interpreted people will abandon me. So that's where those fears came from. And what happens is that becomes part of your hard drive.
Yes.
So here I am at 22, defensive, not letting people near me, afraid of getting close to people, being shut down. All of that was the outcome of that fear. Now, by doing the work, which is coaching and training and transformation, there's lots of, follow us or follow me to see what you can do, because there's all kinds of podcasts that deal with that. There's all kinds of seminars. There's coaching environments. You got to do the work. But the powerful thing is those fears no longer control me.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
That's freedom.
Yeah.
That's
because I shifted
freedom.
the perception. So it's not true that I'm not worth anything. It's not true that I'm not good enough. It's not true that everyone's going to leave me. It's not true that people are bad. But I had it as true. And so if I go through life thinking I'm not good enough and guarded about people, then of course I'm going to have the results that I have. And so that's transformation. I now love myself. I now see my worth. I now love you. I love people and love you.
And he does. And I love you. And he does.
Yeah.
He does. He loves everybody and everybody loves him, because that's what he's created. That's what he's created. And you can create that too.
And that's my point. There's no difference between us. And for you to go, oh, it's easy for you all to say you're in the studio and you're surrounded by all these things. You know what? Every single person has the power to transform their lives.
Totally.
Every person has the power to reinvent themselves. Every person has the power to dream, declare, and deliver anything you want.
Totally.
I totally believe that.
I had 3 kids by the time I was 22. I got divorced and went back to law school at night.
Incredible.
As a single mom.
Incredible.
So anybody can create anything they want.
And it comes down to mindset. Here's why, Rebecca, mindset creates energy. And there's 2 kinds of mindsets we could have. We could have a negative mindset and be a victim, and kind of recapping what we've talked about, have our rackets control us, our fear control us, and let that call the shots, or make a choice to choose an empowering mindset, a positive mindset, a trusting mindset, and have that energy, because that's the true law of attraction. The energy you put out is what comes back.
100%. The world is a mirror. Like, what you have in your life is really a reflection of exactly what you've put out there.
And I'm surrounded by so much love and so many kind people, and I get job opportunities every day. My life is no longer about, can I have this or can I have that? It's like, which one do I want? And that's what I want for everybody. Like, I want that for everybody, because you have that power, but you've got to take accountability for your mindset.
100%. So, I mean, one of the things that I wanted to bring up is how you reframe some things. And one of your reframes is the yes when things happen. You want to talk about that?
So I want to talk about, I love talking about this. I could talk about this forever. And it's how to handle breakdowns. Yes. How to turn a setback into a comeback. How to turn a breakdown into a blessing. And what we do, most of us, is, since fear is waiting, it's the default, waiting to take over. It's when there's a breakdown, and a breakdown is when your expectations are not met, which is every day. A breakdown is when you make mistakes, which is every day. No one's perfect. A breakdown is when you promise something and you don't deliver, or when life throws a curveball. Every day, like flights getting canceled, people treating people in a way that's not nice. So anyway, whenever there's a breakdown, most people do 2 things. Either they ignore it and act like nothing happened. That's called denial, right? Or they exaggerate it and get super upset and give their power away. Mm-hmm. My alternative is, when there's a breakdown, instead of being mad at it, say yes. And the word yes is so powerful, because what you're doing, back to pathways, you're interrupting the automatic pathway that you have spent years disciplined at, with being defensive or reactive or upset or thinking that the world's out to get you, there's a conspiracy, etc. So the yes tricks your brain because your brain's going, what? Are you out of your mind? What do you mean yes? Your husband just dumped you. Your business partner ripped you off. You promised to lose 5 pounds and you gained 20. What do you mean yes? There's traffic and it's not moving. Your flight got delayed 9 hours. I'm telling you real stuff that I've experienced some of it. But why yes? Because what you're doing is you're shifting. You're doing a mind shift. And what you're doing is you're shifting energy from that negative place into a positive direction, creating a new pathway of positivity that with time becomes easier because it's a discipline. So giving it a yes, you're also implying that there's a lesson. And I say that things that occur in life occur because mindset. They're rigged in our favor. Life is rigged in my favor. Yes, even the person that cheated on you. Yes, even the job that fired you. Yes, even your bankruptcy. Rigged in your favor. Now that's a mindset. It's not true. It's simply a way of positioning it. Because I like to position things where you have the power. So giving it a yes forces you to really shift into positivity. So the first step of turning a breakdown into a blessing is to acknowledge it in a positive way with a yes. And the second step of turning a breakdown into a breakthrough is take ownership. Take responsibility. You cannot grow if you don't own it. My bad, my breakdown, I own it. If it's traffic, I own it. If it's did something you didn't like, I'm going to own it. May not be my fault, but I own it. It doesn't have to be your fault to own it. Why do you want to own it? Because when you own something, you have power over it. It doesn't have power over you.
Yes.
And by taking responsibility, I can look at two things. How did I create it, or how could I respond from it? So either if it's not my fault, how can I respond in a positive way? If it is my fault, what can I learn from it? What do I need to adjust next time? So I promised to lose 10 pounds. I gained 20. Yes. Now let me own it. What was missing for me? Diet, exercise, discipline. What can I learn from this? I got to be mindful what I eat. I can't just have a cheat day because a cheat day becomes a cheat week. And that's how I roll. It's like a gateway, right? Like a gateway bite that leads me into disaster. So first step, acknowledge it in a positive way. Second step, take ownership. This is also true with sales. I promised to sell 10 grand this month. I sold 0. Yes. Take responsibility. What can I learn from this? What was missing from me? How can I perceive this? Third step is to forgive yourself. Back to forgiveness. If you don't forgive yourself, then your energy cannot be in creation mode. If you don't forgive yourself, your energy cannot be in creation mode. So I'm human. I forgive me for messing up if it's something you did. If it's not something you did, I forgive X for what happened because I'm not going to give them my energy. Do they deserve it? I don't care. I need my energy. I forgive you. Goodbye. The fourth step is to process the emotions. Now, that's something we don't do. We end up stuffing our emotions or sweeping it under the rug. Processing emotions is an art form. I love coaching people on processing emotions.
Yeah.
Because there's so many ways to process emotions. Like a lot of ways.
Yeah. Dancing out for me.
Yeah. And one of the ways of processing emotion is writing things down.
Yes, writing it
Crying,
down.
having a good scream. I love screaming. Meditation, yoga, talking to a friend, music. Love music. Yeah. Watching a movie that allows you to process emotions. Step 5, now that you've processed the emotion, new commitment. I'm going to sell X. I'm going to drop X pounds. Make a new commitment. Step 6, take the action, massive action. And step 7, celebrate the results. If you accomplish it, we don't do that enough. We don't celebrate what we accomplish. We tend to do big things and then move on to the next. but to take a moment to go, oh my God, I accomplished this. This is amazing.
Acknowledge yourself.
It's not arrogant. It's not tooting your own horn is not arrogant.
No.
It's self-worth.
It's good.
Yeah. And I take one step further. I give myself, like, I do something nice for myself, like go to to the spa, or buy myself something, or go to dinner somewhere I want to go. Like, I treat myself, or a trip or whatever, or even a walk on the beach. It doesn't have to cost money. You can do something that's amazing. And step 7, if you don't accomplish it, go back to step 1. Yes. That's how I do it. And to me, breakdowns are teachers. Breakdowns are opportunities. And back to the mindset. I could act like life is happening to me and woe is me, which you'll get a lot of sympathy in that one. Or, wait a minute, life is rigged in my favor. This is happening on purpose for me. For my growth.
And you talk about how enthusiasm is a choice.
Energy is a choice. Enthusiasm a choice. Love is a choice. Power is a choice. Your vision is a choice. There's several practices I do daily. Like, the first thing I do every day when I wake up is I express gratitude. Thank you. I believe in God. So thank you, God, for a new day. I am so blessed and honored and humbled that I get to be here today. I know that one day I'm not waking up. I know one day you'll watch this and go, oh, he was a great guy. I'm aware of that. I live in that mindset of knowing that my time is brief on earth, and so is yours. And so be grateful that you're breathing. So that's the first thing I do. And the second thing I do every day is I declare my vision for the day. Like, here's the energy I'm creating, and I declare the kind of day I'm going to have, whether it's love, I'm going to create love today, or joy, or passion, or power. And it also depends on what's on the plate. So, like, if I'm doing presentations or coaching sessions, or if I'm pitching something, or I'm spending time with my family, sometimes the word patience needs to be in there. But I declare the kind of day I'm going to have. Yeah. And I go after it and make it happen.
And if it doesn't happen the way you want, then yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
and then take an account. And by the way, the steps don't need to be all done at the same time. Like, it doesn't have to be, it's not sequential. Yeah. Sometimes just a yes is enough.
Yes, I've had a lot of yes moments.
Yeah, sometimes yes is enough.
The last couple of weeks.
Of course. Unfortunately. And here's the good news. It means you're growing. It means you're growing, and it means that you're building something amazing.
Yes. Yeah, because when you raise your vibrational level, people who are vibrating at a lower level, they can't stay in your energy.
Correct.
So you want to talk about that real quick?
Well, yeah. You've got to, your vibe attracts your tribe, and you can't lower your vibration because you want to have a tribe around you. You need to declare what kind of tribe do you want, and that requires you to be loyal to the vibration and the energy that you're putting out there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not going to dim my light so I can hang out with you. I'm sorry. I'm not going to dim my light so I could date you. And a lot of people do that. Yes. A lot of people, out of fear, right? I'd rather be with someone that's a racket versus nobody. And so I'm going to dim my light, or I'm going to turn a blind eye to what they're doing. They're doing something illegal, or they're doing something out of integrity, or they're cheating on you. And you're like, well, whatever. I'd rather have him in my life than not have him, so let him cheat. And people do that. I do seminars. I've been doing seminars for 37 years, week after week, and you can imagine the kind of things that people come to the trainings with, and the things that we tolerate is incredible. And so don't ever settle.
No, don't ever settle. What would be the one thing you want to definitely leave people with as far as having that bulletproof life? What would you say is the most important thing?
2 things. One is be responsible for your thoughts. The same way you select your shoes, you select your thoughts. And choose thoughts that are empowering. Choose thoughts that are empowering. The reason why I declare a vision each day is I'm choosing the day I'm going to have. And back to the point we made earlier, when I say today I'm going to create my visions to create an environment of joy and love and courage, it doesn't mean I feel that. It's a choice, not a feeling. So choose thoughts that are empowering. choose perceptions that are empowering.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, what hurts you the most is disempowering perceptions. It's not that your boyfriend didn't call you back that upset you. It's you interpreting that he doesn't love you that upsets you. You can't control the fact that he called you back or not, but you could control that thought.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's number one. And the second thing I would say is trust the process. Whatever you're going through a health challenge, trust the process. You're going through a relationship challenge, trust the process. You're going through a financial challenge, trust the process. And what does it take to trust the process is shifting that mindset or that little voice, the little voice that's always saying something to us that says, this isn't going to work out. I'm going to, it's going to be horrible. Or we create these non-events, like my aunt say, like this screenplay in our heads that has this like Steven Spielberg outcomes, like Final Destination movies. We create these negative screenplays in our heads, transform that fear into positivity, faith. That's what trust the process means. Transform fear into faith. And if you're going to make something up, make up a beautiful outcome. Make up something amazing.
Yes. I always say, if you're going to what if yourself to the good things.
What if it works out versus what if we fail? That's what it means.
Yes.
What I mean.
Yeah.
And those are the two things I would say.
Yeah.
And finally, the answer to everything is love.
Yes.
Love is the answer.
Everything is either stemming from love or fear.
Right. And the most important love is self-love.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I said something about forgiveness earlier, but I also don't want to bypass. Not only do you get to forgive other people, you got to forgive yourself.
Oh, sometimes that's the hardest one.
The hardest one.
In the opening of my show, because this show is called Negotiate Your Best Life, I actually say sometimes the very first negotiation that you have to do is with your own self in the morning for your own self-worth.
Interesting that would be the last thing I would say.
Yes.
Given what you opened the show with.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Forgiving yourself is, and for a quick exercise you could do in forgiveness, make a list of the people that you forgive, that you want to forgive, and write down, I forgive blank for blank. And that, that declaration is a reclaim of power. And I forgive myself for blank. By the way, my book, I'm going to promote my book right now.
Yes, please.
It's called Transform Your Life.
I've already listened to it.
10 Principles of Abundance and Prosperity. A lot that we're talking about is in the book.
So say the title again.
Transform Your Life, 10 Principles of Abundance and Prosperity. It's on Amazon. It's in English. It's in Spanish. It's in Audible in my voice. It's in Kindle. And the foreword is by my brother, my friend, Lewis Howes, from the School of Greatness.
Yes.
He does the forward, and the book is got a lot of these exercises.
So we will put links to all of his stuff. And where can people follow you? Where can they?
Mostly Instagram, Chris Lee Motivator. You'll put a link on
Yes, I will. Yep.
And Facebook, Chris Lee Motivational Trainer.
Yes, and we will put a link to his book there as well.
And my workshops, alaeq.com. That's where you get me live in person.
Okay. Yeah, so go check out his workshops, his Instagram. Go follow him. Get his books. And I told you guys this was going to be good. Was I right? Amazing. Amazing.
So blessed to be here. I adore you. I love you. So proud of this woman, the work you've done, your humility, your commitment, how you use your energy and your life to serve others. And those are the people I want to surround myself with. People that use their energy to serve others, because service is truly the most powerful thing you can give to this earth.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly. And your suffering is your superpower. It becomes your superpower. Your pain does become your purpose. And it truly is what you're meant to do. We're all born for greatness. We're all born for something more. And this guy here is the angel on earth. He's the magic man that helps inspire that in so many people.
Thank you.
So
thanks for inviting me.
Thank you.
I'll come back.
Yes. we need like part 2 of this, because I feel like we didn't even have enough
we
time
scratched
to get into
there's so much we could talk about.
So many more
but
things,
this was good to give people
so
a sense of the work we're doing.
Yes. So thank you, Chris. Love you. And now you guys get to love him too.